Good day, everyone. My name is Justin Ehalon from BSBA 3B. Today, we will going to discuss the Chapter 8 entitled Self-Assessment, Audits, and Reviews. But before we proceed to our proper discussion, let us determine first what are the chapter highlights. So our first highlight is the frameworks for self-assessment, methodologies for the assessment, Capability Maturity Model Integration Assessment or CMMI, securing prevention by audit and reviews of the system, internal and external quality management system, audits and reviews. Frameworks for self-assessment. So we have here the Japanese Deming Prize, the US Baldrige Award, and the EFQM Excellence Model. But before we proceed to our further discussion about these three different frameworks for self-assessment, let us define first what is framework and what is self-assessment. So when we say framework, it is a system of rules, ideas, or belief that is used to plan or decide something. When we say self-assessment naman, it is the activities that help us to judge our own performance to improve our work. So when we say frameworks for self-assessment pala, these are the different frameworks that will guide us on how to assess or judge our performance to improve our work. So the Japanese Deming Prize, also known as Deming's 14 points. So this Japanese Deming Prize is already discussed by Ms. Tamayo during our Chapter 2 discussion. So I will not be able to furtherly discuss this 14 points of Demings because it is already discussed na. But I will just give a brief discussion about this Japanese Deming Prize. So this Japanese Deming Prize is the most demanding and intrusive auditing process. So this Japanese Deming Prize is help us in our self-assessment. In this award, it is recognized the contribution of an individual and business in the field of total quality management. So in this although pala, this Japanese Deming Prize recognizes the individual contribution or the employee's contribution towards the performance of every organization. So next is the US Baldrige Award. So this US Baldrige Award was already discussed by Ms. Tamayo during our discussion in our Chapter 2. So today, I will not furtherly discussing this US Baldrige Award, but I will just only give a brief discussion about this. So this US Baldrige Award, also known as Criteria for the Performance Excellence. So it is the most famous and widely used framework for our self-assessment. So ito palang US Baldrige Award ay ginagamit ng iba't ibang organization upang ma-evaluate ang kanilang performance at work. So the last framework for self-assessment is the EFQM model. It is also known as the European Foundation Quality Management. So in 1992, EFQM launched a European Quality Award now widely used for systematic review and measurement of operations. So this EFQM model recognizes the process which a company or organization showcase the talents of its people to produce a result performance. So this EFQM model is one way to measure the operations or the quality performance of the organization and their work. So in our figures here in our EFQM Excellence Model, we have here the enablers criteria and the results criteria. So the enablers criteria, we have the leadership, the people, strategy and planning, partnership and resources, and lastly, the process. And then in our result criteria, we have the people result, citizen or customer-oriented, society result, and the business result. So in our enablers criteria, this criteria focus on what is needed to be done to achieve its possible result. So in our EFQM criterion parts, first we have the leadership. So leadership, it is how leaders develop and facilitate the achievement of the mission and vision, develop values for long-term success, and ensuring that the organization's management system are developed and implemented. So here in our EFQM criterion parts, leadership is very important because these leaders are the one who leads and guide in order to achieve the mission and vision and develop values for long-term success of the organization. So in the EFQM criterion parts, especially in the self-evaluation of every organization, the leadership also evaluated in order to ensure that the organization is having a quality performance in terms of their operation. So next is the strategy. It is how the organizations implement its vision and mission via clearly stakeholders focused strategy supported by relevant policies, plans, objectives, targets, and process. So here in our strategy, the EFQM criterion parts also evaluating the strategy of the organization. It is how the organization implements their strategic direction in order to achieve their plans and objectives while maintaining their quality performance in their operation. So next, in our EFQM criterion part is the people. It is how the organization manages, develops, and releases the knowledge and full potential of its people at an individual, team-based, and organization-wide levels and plans their activities in order to support its policy, strategy, and the effective operations of its process. So in our EFQM model, one thing to be evaluated is the people. It is how the organization manage and develop and harness the full potential of their employees in the organization. So next, we have partnership and resources. It is how the organization plans and manages the external partnership and internal resources in order to support its strategy and the effectiveness of its operation for the process. So here, in our partnership and resources, one thing to be evaluated is the good relationship of the company into the other organization. It is because the company should not always focus to their profitability, but also they should also invest time in making a good relationship towards other organization, and they should also manage their resources properly in order to maintain the effectiveness of the operation. So our last criterion part for our enabler in our EFQM excellence model is the process, products, and services. It is how the organization design and manages and improves its process, products, and services in order to support its strategy and fully satisfy and generate increasing value for its customers and stakeholders. So, it is very important to evaluate the process, products, of services of every organization. It is because it is how the organization design their products and services to improve the customer satisfaction. So, in evaluating the enablers criteria, which is the leadership, people, strategy and planning, partnership and resources and process, the EFQM has a criteria which may use in scoring self-assessment and making rewards. For the approach, deployment, assessment and review, the assessor may choose one of the 5 levels, the 0%, 25%, 50%, 75%, or 100% as presented in the chart, or the interpolated these values. So since we are already done with our enablers criteria, next is the result criteria. So we have the 4 results criteria, namely customer result, people result, society result, and the key performance result. So this result focus on how the organization achieved their desired goals through their customers, people, society, and their performance. So, customer results. Customer result is what the organization is achieving in relation to its external customer. So, in the self-assessment, should focus on demonstrating the organization's success in satisfying the needs and expectation of its external customers. So next, we have the people result. It is what the organization is achieving in relation to its people. So this system ensures that the organizational members of activity shall fall in the right or proper domain of activities in the organization. So next, we have the society result. It is what the organization is achieving in relation to the local, national, international society as appropriate. So this society result must be considered in the society's perception in the organization. So the last result criteria is the key performance result. So this key performance result is what the organization is achieving in relation to its planned performance. So this key performance must consider the outcomes including the financial or the non-financial. So just like in the enablers criteria, the result criteria also use a scoring in self-assessment. So in both result and scope, the assessor may use the 5 level, the 0%, 25%, 50%, 75%, and lastly, the 100%. So the self-assessment against the excellence model may be generally used by using the radar system. So this radar stands for the result, approaches, deployment, assessment, and review. So when we say result is to identify the result that you want to achieve. And then approaches, it is to implement of approaches to deliver the request result. Deployment is the approaches for a systematically and assessment and review the effectiveness of all approaches. So regardless of the size of a organization, they need to establish a correct management system for the organization to become successful. So those frameworks that I have mentioned earlier, they measures the standing of the organization when it becomes in the stand of excellence. Through those different frameworks, they help the organization to address the different problems of the organization to attain the total quality management. So our next topic is the methodologies for the assessment. But before we will going to proceed to our proper discussion about these methodologies, let us define first what is methodologies. So when we say methodologies, it is a set of methods used in a particular area of a study. Or in short, it is the procedure or the technique. For example, if you are a student and you got a lower score in the exam, you need to exert more effort in studying. So this action is called the methodologies, in which you study more in order for you to get a higher grades for the next exam. General steps involved in undertaking self-assessment. So we have the data collection, assessment, strength and area of improvement, action plan, reviews and refinement, and then the consensus. So here in the data collection, we need to gather all the data, especially those wrong decisions that we make in the organization. And then we will going to assess why the organization decision is failed. And under the assessment, we have the consensus. We need to rate the organization during the assessment. And then next is the strength and area of improvement. Think on how to strengthen and improve the wrong decision at kung saan kayo nagkulang bilang isang organization. And then next is the action plan. It is a detailed plan action that you plan that you will going to make para hindi na maulit ang failure of decision na nagawa ninyo. And then reviews and refinement. So it is the feedback about the action that you implemented, if the action that you make is successful or not, and what you have to improve in your performance. So our next topic is the Capability Maturity Model Integration Assessment, or the CMMI. So one way that the organization must pursue organizational excellence is to consider how mature their operation. So this CMMI has two tools. First is the process capability level, and the organizational maturity level. So this organizational maturity level, also known as stage presentation, in the organization, maturity level uses a 5 scale of level of maturity to provide a series of well-defined evolutionary improvement. So this CMMI model showing both current status of the organization and what needs to be done. So this CMMI is very important because it helps to improve organization using its 5 scale level of maturity, and this is the process of capability level which focus on the customer satisfaction. It is to improve product to achieve the desired excellence. So our next topic is securing prevention by audits and reviews by the management system. So let us define first what is error and defect prevention. It is the process in which the organization will be able to know and control the error that the organization is experiencing. So there are two major elements of defect prevention. First is checking the system, and second is error or defect investigation and follow-up. So, checking the system. So, here is inaalam muna nila on what is the problem in the system. So, there are 6 methods generally used in checking the system. First is quality audits and review, quality survey, quality inspection, quality tour, quality sampling, and quality scrutinize. Quality audits and reviews. So, it is to assess the area of the organization, especially their activities. Example is the duty of an accountant. So, the goal of audits and review is to record all the transaction in order to know the strength, weakness, and risk of the organization. So, dito naman sa quality survey, it is the examination that is detailed and focused on the specific area to identify the common problems in the organization. So, through this quality survey, the organization will be able to know the feedbacks of the customer to improve the quality of their products and services. So next is the quality inspection. So it is very common inspection to every department. It is to assess if the standard of the organization is being aligned or followed, if the employees are working in accordance with the procedure. So, dito naman tayo sa quality tour. So, when we say quality tour, it is the surprise inspection to examine if the quality standards of the organization are being maintained. And then next is the quality sampling. The quality sampling is to know the potential error or defect in the organization. And then lastly is the quality scrutinize. The audit is focused on the integrity of the organization to protect the organization from malpractice, just like fraud or mistakes. So after checking the systems and identify errors, we have to make plans to address the problems of the organization. So that's why we have the error or defect investigation and follow-up. So here, we will be able to provide valuable error prevention information. But we have 3 methods used in error defect investigation. First is collecting, second is checking, third is selecting. So we have to collect the data or the information relating to the error or defect. And after collecting, we have to check it. So checking is analyze if the collected data are reliable or valid. And then lastly is selecting. So after collecting and checking, we will be able to select reliable or valid data. So the result of this analyzation is used to decide the cause of the errors, used to notify immediate person to take corrective action, used to record the finding and outcomes, and used to report them to everyone concerned to avoid reoccurrence. In the investigation, the questionnaire structure should include the people, process, technology, and environment. So, in investigating, the questionnaire should include the people's duties, people's information, people's supervision, people instruction, and people training and attitudes. And in the process, the questionnaire should also include the process system, the procedures, the instructions, monitoring, control methods. And in the technology, it should be the description, the condition, the control, maintenance, and suitability. And in the environment, it should be climatic, space, humidity, and noise. So our next topic is the internal and external management system audits and reviews. Quality auditing standard. We have the three quality auditing standard, namely the first party or the internal audit, and then second party or the external audit, and then the third party audits. So, first party audit or the internal audit, it measures the strength and weaknesses of the organization against its own method or procedure. When we say second party naman, it is the external audit that is being conducted to the supplier and customers. When we say third party, it carried out by the independent agencies provided perspectives of customers for products or services. And lastly, we have the steps in auditing, namely initiation, preparation, execution, report, and completion. And that's all for my report, guys. Once again, I am Justin Ehalon. Thank you and God bless.